Bueno, estamos en vivo, sí. Bienvenidos, segundo vivo del día. En el vivo de hace 2 horitas vimos los resultados de las elecciones parlamentarias en Europa con el triunfo de la derecha, sobre todo la nueva derecha en Europa, que los zurdos estaban llorando por el avance de la extrema derecha. Y ya vimos eso que, bueno, fue bastante interesante, bastante bueno. Y como les dije, Agustín Laje no se podía perder este día. Hizo un vivo recién. Hace 15 minutos terminó de hacer un vivo casi de 2 horas, donde analizó un poco estas elecciones y vio un poquito de cosas que a lo mejor después lo vemos, o si no lo dejamos para el programa directamente oficial de mañana. Y en esta ocasión, como les dije, hoy quería ver sí o sí la entrevista de Nayib Bukele con Tucker Carlson. Hace ya unos días que se la vengo debiendo, así que en este vivo vamos a ver eso. Y al final vemos si hay algo más para repasar o no. Pero bueno, dura 1 hora la entrevista, así que bienvenidos, siéntanse cómodos. Yo tengo que poner por acá la ventana con esto. No, acá vamos. A ver, ahora entrevista, ahora sí, perfecto. Y tiene subtítulos, está en el canal de YouTube de Nayib Bukele y tiene subtítulos en español.
Mr. President, thank you for having us.
Thank you, Tucker.
At your Camp David, which is beautiful. So you were inaugurated 2 days ago. This is a small country, and yet your inauguration was international news, was everywhere. Why? Why do you think that is?
Well, it was a shock for us too. I mean,
le quiero bajar un poco el volumen, que está alto.
we knew that a lot of people were coming, and I mean that will draw some attention. Of course, we had big delegations from 110 countries. So of course that will draw news because if a chancellor comes from a country, then he brings his media team and that will create some news over there. And if a president comes or a king comes, that will create some news. Even you came, so that creates some news. But
why were they coming?
Well, I don't know, different reasons, of course. I could ask you, why did you come, right?
I came because I think something remarkable is happening here. That's why. But I'm interested in why you think people came.
Yeah, different reasons. There are definitely different reasons. For example, the U.S. Government sent a big delegation, but then we had also a delegation from Congress.
Yes.
That started as a Republican delegation, but then the Democrats jumped in the wagon, and we had a bipartisan delegation from Congress. So, it's like, so it adds up. I don't know at the end what happened, but I think that it's like how how stars are born. They say that the debris starts joining up, and if they become an asteroid. But if more debris joins up, it becomes a planet because the gravitational pull. The more debris comes up, it becomes a star because then the gravitational pull is too big. So that's called critical mass. So I don't know. Sometimes, just because God wants it like that, or just a stroke of luck or whatever, you get some critical mass in something you're doing, and then it becomes bigger than the sum of all of its parts. So I don't know, probably got some critical mass that we didn't foresee.
My guess is that of all the countries in the hemisphere, El Salvador seemed in the toughest shape or close to the bottom in the rankings.
Definitely.
For everything.
Yes.
Lacking abundant natural resources, etc.
And since the country was born.
Is that true?
Yes, I mean the country has been poor since it was born. Yeah.
Tucker Carlson le dijo, tu país era una mierda, ¿cómo hiciste para hacer tantas buenas cosas y ponerlo en el mapa mundial?
Lacking everything, basically.
Lacking everything, with a dense population, a lot of people packed in.
Yeah.
So how did you change it? I guess I'll cut right to it. If you can fix El Salvador, what are the lessons for the rest of us? What did you do first?
Claro, ¿ves? Algo así.
Well, of course, you cannot do anything if you don't have peace, right? And when I say peace, I include war, civil wars, invasion, crime. I mean, you need to have peace. You need to be able to move freely, to have your basic
Gran palabra.
Basic rights respected, starting with the right to live.
Derecho a la vida, la libre circulación, derecho de propiedad. Fíjense, está repitiendo conceptos clave de Javier Milei. Conceptos con los cuales transitó toda su campaña y con los cuales fue elegido presidente en Argentina.
So you need your basic rights to be respected. So you need peace. That's the first thing a society will struggle to achieve. And once you achieve peace, then you can struggle for all the other things, like infrastructure, wealth,
Yes.
Well-being.
Y eso es lo que muchas veces no quiere dejar la izquierda, que haya paz en los países. Fíjense ahora en Argentina, por ejemplo, como oposición, palos en la rueda, conflictos, todos los cortes de calle y manifestaciones que se puedan. Bueno, claras diferencias. Como sabemos, las personas de derecha somos más pacíficas que los zurdos violentos de izquierda.
Quality of life, but you have to start with peace. So we had to start with peace. And in the case of El Salvador, we were literally the murder capital of the world.
Yes.
And we turned it into the safest country in the Western Hemisphere. We're safer than any other country in the Western Hemisphere, which is, it was. If I would have said that 5 years ago, they would say that I was crazy, right? Because this was literally the most dangerous country in the whole world.
Your capital is now safer than our capital in Washington.
Yes.
A lot safer.
And the country is safer than the United States as a whole.
Yes.
The U.S. murder rate is around 6 murders per 100,000 inhabitants, and our murder rate is 2. So we're safer than Canada, safer than Chile, safer than Uruguay, safer than the U.S., safer than any country in the Western Hemisphere. There are countries in the other hemisphere that are safer than El Salvador, but not in the Western Hemisphere.
So you did that in just a couple of years.
Yes, we did that basically in 3 years.
So what?
Del 2020 al 2023.
Just bottom line it for us. What's the formula?
Well,
que si bien son 4 años, pero acuérdense que en el 2019 asume Bukele y en el 2020 recién tiene reforma parlamentaria que le sirve para hacer reformas, y como sabemos en el 2023 es donde logra un día con 0 asesinatos en el país, y ese se festejó como, bueno, claramente ya somos el país más seguro.
I can tell you the official formula and the real formula.
Okay.
So the official formula is that we did a plan. I mean, we did a plan. It's not that. When I say official, I mean it's a lie. It's just the official one. We did a plan that was comprised of phases. So,
y fíjense también ustedes, ¿no? Que Tucker Carlson lo buscó anteriormente a Milei. El año pasado lo buscó más a Milei antes que a Bukele, que Bukele ya era presidente. Y si bien es más difícil acceder a un presidente que a un político que está en campaña, como lo era Javier Milei, lo buscó antes, como nota, a Javier Milei que a Bukele. Fíjense que Milei en un año o año y medio sin ser presidente, simplemente siendo un candidato tuvo más repercusión en todo el mundo que lo que fue Bukele con su plan de saneamiento en cuanto a seguridad y delincuencia. Eso habla también de lo que fue, o lo que es, Milei como carismático y como persona que llega con su mensaje. Por eso las formas, muchas veces le critican a Milei las formas. Y fíjense que las formas de Milei son lo que impacta en la gente, son lo que hace que penetren en las fibras más íntimas de cada persona.
So we roll up the first phase, then the next one, then the next one, and then gangs started attacking back. So we had to roll up everything at once, like in a hurry. So and it worked. It worked. In a couple of weeks, the country was transformed because the gangs were not yet arrested, but they were on the run. So we basically, in the roll-up of Phase 6, we basically pacified the country in a couple of weeks.
How do you do that? How do you pacify a country?
Well, the phases included building up of the police forces, the army. We doubled the army.
Mirá,
we literally doubled the army to fight crime, to use the army to fight crime. And we equipped.
Algo que en Argentina todavía se está debatiendo o cuestionando mucho, que es algo que quiere hacer Javier Milei, de que las fuerzas militares, bueno, Patricia Bullrich, ministro de Seguridad, quieren ponerle fuerza a todo lo que sea defensa de seguridad, militares, gendarmería y policía, para que todos conjuntamente hagan un país más seguro. Sobre todo en la lucha contra el narcotráfico, que es algo bastante preocupante en ciudades como Rosario, acá en Argentina.
Them Before, like soldiers, we didn't have like useful guns or
Acá pasa igual.
vehicles, drones.
Los policías no tienen
basic things that
equipamiento necesario.
That an operation of that magnitude would need.
Eso hace la izquierda. Como está a favor de los delincuentes, no le da nada a las fuerzas de seguridad, las desmantela, le saca el poder, le saca la capacidad de acción y le da los beneficios para salir de la cárcel rápidamente a los delincuentes. Eso es la izquierda. En Argentina se encargaron de hacer eso. Y ahora con Milei, la idea es que cambie. Que los presos estén pagando por su condena y por lo que hicieron en la cárcel, y que la gente de paz, la gente que labura, la gente que se rompe el traste todos los días laburando, esté tranquila y en libertad. Y en paz, como decía al principio Nayib Bukele.
So, yeah, we roll up the faces and then we went after them.
Okay, so that's the official. That's the official.
Yes, that's the official one.
What's the real?
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
Yeah, it's a miracle.
I love that. What do you mean?
Yeah, it's a miracle, you know.
A ver si acá se pone a hablar un poquito de fe y de religión también, ¿no? Y de Dios. A ver.
When gangs started attacking us back, basically, they killed 87 people in 3 days, which for a country of 6 million people, it's crazy. It would be the equivalent 60 times. Would be the equivalent of having 5,000 deaths in 3 days, 5,000 murders in the U.S. in 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were in a meeting, and well, when it started, not when it ended, but when it started, we were in a meeting at my office, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., just watching, you know, what was happening and trying to figure out what to do, because the problem with the gangs is that they don't only attack their objectives. When they want to create terror, they can attack anyone. So they can actually kill their grandma.
Yes.
And it's your victim.
Yes.
Because they don't care about their grandma. You care about their grandma, so it's your victim. It's like if they...
Tremendo. A los ladrones, a los pandilleros no les importaba ni siquiera su familia. Y sí es algo que después cuenta como una muerte más, un asesinato más, que sí le recae al gobierno y al país. Un gran concepto, un gran paradigma.
Kill their grandma, you have one death, and they have, they achieved the terror that they want to create. So they can kill anybody. A woman walking by, a guy working in the street, a taxi driver. They can kill anybody. And if the state goes after them, the state has no intention of killing or harming anybody, but the gang members. So you have 70,000 objectives, which were the 70,000 gang members, but they have 6 million possible targets. So it was almost an impossible task.
It's a guerrilla war, really.
Yes, it is, but it was an impossible task because you have to go after them. They were intertwined with the population, they were everywhere, and they were killing randomly. So how do you stop that? So we really tried to figure out what to do, and I basically said, well, we're looking into an impossible mission here. So we pray.
Bien, ahí está.
And we.
You prayed in the meeting?
Yes, of course, several times. Yeah.
What did you pray for?
To wisdom, to win the war, to have. I thought at the time that we would have civilian casualties. So we prayed that the civilian casualties will be.
Porque en esa lucha se pueden perder civiles.
And we didn't have any civilian casualties.
And was everyone in the meeting comfortable with that?
Yes. All my security cabinet are believers. They all believe in God. We're a secular country, of course, but we all believe in God. So.
Tremendo. Esto lo dijo el otro día en el acto de Asunción. Hizo hincapié en Dios, en la fe, en las creencias.
13 is one of the major gangs.
And they are satanic also.
That was my question. So very
I'm
little.
sorry.
No. But I would hope you will explain it, because very little has been written in the West about this.
They're satanic, yes.
But actually, literally, can you explain?
Well, they didn't start as a satanic organization. MS-13 started in Los Angeles, in the U.S., because Salvadorans weren't allowed to sell drugs by the Mexican gangs. So they created a gang that was called the 18th Street Gang, because they basically wanted to sell drugs in a street that was 18th Street over there. But then division started they started dividing themselves and started infighting. So they created the MS-13. And then MS-13 started outgrowing the other gangs, and they started exporting the organization to other parts of the U.S. And when Bill Clinton decided to deport those guys, he didn't tell our government at the time, I'm deporting this criminal. They just send them here. And they came, there were few, but unchecked. At the same time, some laws were passed to protect minors from imprisonment. And of course, the gangs used that to recruit 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 17.
Eso mismo está pasando, bueno, hace muchos años, pero es algo que pasa muy presente, está en la Argentina, que niños de hasta 12, 11 años ya salen a delinquir por estas leyes justamente de que los defienden, o sea, los agarra la policía pero no pueden hacer nada y los sueltan a las horas. Entonces siguen delinquiendo y son reclutados por las organizaciones, en este caso narcoterroristas en Argentina.
17-year-olds. So at the beginning was, some youth causing harm, assaulting, trying to control their territory, selling drugs, things that are bad, but probably not critical. But they grew, and they started controlling territories. A few years later, they were actually a huge international criminal organization that they have bases in Italy, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, the U.S. Basically, a lot of major cities in the U.S. will have strongholds of.
Right outside Washington, D.C.
Yes, of course. And you have in Long Island and
yes.
In L.A. It's a huge criminal international organization. So they grew and they started, killing more people just to get territory or to fight against rival gangs or to, collect debts or, money or whatever. But as the organization grew, they became satanic. They started doing satanic rituals. I don't know exactly when that started, but it was well documented.
Yes.
And in our arrest, we've even found authors and things like that.
Yes, I've seen them.
And so they became a satanic organization. And even when you, sometimes when you interview gang members that are in prison, they would say, I'm out of the gang. Of course, they're in prison, but they would say, I'm not a member of the gang anymore. And when they asked them why, I remember I remember the news outlet that made it this, but it's a very well-known news outlet that made this interview with a gang member in person. We allowed them to go into prisons and do the interviews. And the guy that they asked him, how many people have you killed? And he said, I don't remember. He didn't remember how many, probably 10, 20, he didn't remember. And then they asked him, and what is your position in the gang? He explained how he went up in positions, but I left the gang. I said, why did you left the gang? And he said, well, because I was used to kill people, but I killed for territory. I killed to collect money. I killed for extortion. But I came to to this house, and they were about to kill a baby. And the killer that had killed tens of people, said, "Oh, wait, what are we doing? Why are we going to kill that baby?" And they told him, because the beast asked for a baby, so we have to give him a baby. So he said that he couldn't resist that, so he left the gang. He's in prison because he's a killer, but he left the gang because he couldn't tolerate what he was seeing.
So human sacrifice was
Yes.
a part.
Well, in the United States a couple of weeks ago, or a couple
Tremendo.
of days ago, I don't remember exactly, I saw the news that they were going to kill a young girl, or they killed a young girl, I don't exactly remember, because it was a satanic ritual. It happened in the U.S. a couple of weeks ago.
You
Impactante.
may have come to the obvious conclusion that the real debate is not between Republican and Democrat, or socialist and capitalist, right, left. The real battle is between people who are lying on purpose and people who are trying to tell you the truth. It's between good and evil. It's between honesty and falsehood. And we hope we are on the former side. That's why we created this network, the Tucker Carlson Network. And we invite you to subscribe to it. You go to the scenes footage of what actually happened,
Described.
/podcast. You will not regret it.
So that's almost never described
No,
in English language press as clearly as you just described it.
no. Which is weird, right?
Well, you sort of wonder why.
Yeah.
If there's a spiritual component that's driving it, why not just say so?
Yes.
But I guess my point is you saw it as that.
Yes, of course. There's a spiritual war and there's a physical war. And the physical war could be, that's the unofficial.
Yes.
That's the unofficial version. The spiritual, if you win the spiritual war, it will reflect into the
Se
physical.
manifestará en lo físico. Mira vos.
So I think our,
Tremendo.
I don't know how to call it, our impressive
Declaraciones espirituales de Nayib Bukele.
victory was because we won the spiritual war. Very, very fast.
Well, that leads me, I didn't expect.
Because you didn't have competition. I mean, they were satanic. I think that made it easier.
In your inaugural, and I was listening on headphones for the translations, I just want to check this. You said, we have achieved this great victory and made this a safe country, and that's the predicate for everything that follows. And the next thing we're going to do in this term is to work on the economy to make it better.
Grow the economy, yeah.
And you said, correct me if I'm wrong, you said I have a 3-point plan, and I'm thinking, I wonder what that is. I don't know, start a Federal Reserve Bank? And you said the first point of my plan is seek God's wisdom.
Yes.
That is what you said.
Yeah, I said that, yeah.
Why would that be the first point of an economic
Why
plan?
wouldn't it be? What should be the first part of the plan?
Well, I think it should be.
Yeah.
But I can't.
And most people would think that, right?
I've never heard any leader of any country say
because
that.
because they probably forgot to represent the people that elect them. Yeah.
Importantísimo, representar al pueblo que te eligió. Si tu pueblo es laico, es religioso, tenés que ir con Dios como primera medida y con fe.
Yeah. It's like you ask most of the people that elect the politicians, they say, yeah, that's fine, yeah, I believe that. But then you ask the politician, and he will say, no, that's not. So who is he trying to pander into? I mean, it doesn't make sense, right?
Do you
So
think?
it's a common sense thing to seek God's wisdom.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's a prerequisite for wise decision making, I would
Yes,
say.
exactly. So that's the first part of our plan.
I don't know why it makes me laugh. Do you think that that's one of the reasons that your successes, which are just measurable, I'm not saying this for ideological reasons, but just a fact that you've transformed the country in a good way and that you're literally the most popular elected leader in the world, again, not speculation, provable fact, you'd think that would be greeted in the hemisphere as this amazing thing, like what's going on in El Salvador, and instead, there's been this, what's going on in El Salvador?
Yeah.
There's been hostility.
Yes.
Do you think that's why?
I'm not sure, but one of the reasons is that we don't pander to them. So probably they don't like that. It's probably a reason. It's like there's. I'm not going to go into conspiracy theory. I'm going to go into provable facts, right? Like you said. So there's worldwide agendas, right? These are provable facts, right? They have benchmarks that they need the countries to follow and they need the countries to do. This is, out there, right?
Agenda 2030.
But sometimes if you work on those things, you're probably neglecting the important things for your people.
Claro, más importante
the
para la
things that
soberanía nacional.
your people are really asking for. Give you an example. When we arrested the gang members that were killing so much people that we were the murder capital of the world, literally the most dangerous place in the whole world, more dangerous than Haiti, right? more dangerous than Iraq. Was literally the most dangerous country in the world. We have triple the amount of the murder rate that Haiti has right now. With all the mayhem that they have, we have triple that here. So what do you have to do? You have to stop that, right? I mean, it's a no-brainer. I mean, you don't even need to have.
Claro, basta de hacerle caso al globalismo, de respetar al delincuente, que es un ser humano que sufre, que hay que reinsertarlo en la sociedad. No, un ser humano tiene que respetar a la sociedad, respetar el derecho, respetar la ley, pero sin cometer agresiones, delitos. Una vez que lo cometió, tiene que pagar por ello.
A big thought process. You have to stop that. That's the first thing you have to do. When we did that, we got huge condemnations. You name it. Say an organization, we got a condemnation from them. So, and a lot of them were human rights organizations. And you would ask, but what about the human right of a woman not to be raped?
Claro.
I mean, what about the human right of kids to play or to be free or to go to the park?
Los globalistas solo quieren derechos humanos para los delincuentes.
Or the human right to walk in the street, right? But no, they were worried about the human rights of the killers.
Claro.
Which, they have human rights. I don't say they don't. They're humans. But if you have to prioritize, what will you prioritize?
Yes.
Right? The human rights of the honest, hardworking, decent people, not the human rights that they do have. But you won't prioritize the human rights of the killers and rapists and murderers. And so we secured the country, and we did it with no help from any other country, and with huge condemnation in everything that we were doing. Everything. I mean, we changed the Attorney General. We got so much condemnation because we changed the Attorney General that we need to change to prosecute the murderers. So we basically they try to block every step of what we were doing.
Muy de izquierda eso.
And,
así que
and now,
realmente el globalismo
it's that the results are there. That it's they're tangible, measurable, undeniable. Now they don't know what to do, because a lot of other countries are saying, maybe a lot of other countries similar to ours that have similar problems, they are saying maybe we should do that too. But they don't want that because that's not in their agenda.
But I guess that's why I came here, to be totally honest, is what your success says about the country that I live in or other countries in the hemisphere or in Europe where people are killed by the thousands every year. And what you've proven with very little money and no help from anyone else is it's not that hard to fix. Therefore, all that killing must be a voluntary decision that my government and many other governments are making about their own citizens.
You can make that logical.
Well, I don't know what other conclusion to reach. If El Salvador can do it, what's going on here?
Yes, you can make that logical conclusion. I think that's probably what they are afraid of. Because, I mean, we don't have weapons of mass destruction, right?
No.
So why are they afraid? Why would they take so much time in make condemnations to El Salvador, right? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, you didn't send a man to the moon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think they're afraid of the example. Because a lot of people might say, hey, we want that too. If they can do it with no money, with very few resources, and with a huge problem, because I heard some people say, oh, El Salvador could do it because the problem was not that big. I'm like, we're literally the murder capital of the world. How bigger can it get, right?
Básicamente lo mataban a Bukele y le querían boicotear su plan de seguridad porque iba a ser el ejemplo para que se les caiga el relato y el cuento populista izquierdista globalista.
We were literally the most dangerous place in the world, 3 times more dangerous than Haiti right now. So, I mean, how bigger can the problem get? And at the same time, we had very few resources, and we were able to do it with no civilian casualties. After we started the war on gangs, we had no civilian casualties, and we lost 8 between police officers and soldiers, and we basically eradicated all crime.
So
and we arrested 70,000 gang members, which the number is not a number that just came up. That's the official number that all the organizations said we had of gang members. And you can watch the World Bank reports, etc. They said El Salvador has around 70,000 gang members, had 500,000 collaborators. So we spared the collaborators basically, and we only got the gang members. Why? Because most of the collaborators were just family members,
Yes.
or the woman that sell tortillas, and she had to tell, oh, the police is coming, because if not, she would probably have been killed by the gang. So most of the collaborators were not really criminals,
Yes.
but just people living in a society that was controlled by gangs. The government the real government was the gangs. Just like in Haiti, you have a fake government and you have the real government. The government in Haiti is the gangs. It was like that. You had a formal government, of course, with offices and everything, but you have the real government in the territory, which were the gangs.
So, and I know you want to stick to the facts, but at some point you do have to, this is a really important question. Why would a government that has the means to end violent crime, not all, there's always going to be crime, people breaking laws, but violent crime, people murdering and raping each other
Yes.
is a voluntary decision that a government makes. Why would a government choose to have that?
I don't know. I don't know. I can make up theories, but I really
But
don't.
you have a gut instinct about it?
I think it's a combination of factors, like everything.
Yes.
They might be evil people that that are doing it on purpose, of course, and probably planning stuff. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, possibly. At the same time, there's a lot of people that they just being fed these ideologies, and they think they're doing the right thing.
Yes.
Right, like allowing shoplifting, for example.
Yes.
That's the most stupid thing you can think of, but they do it.
Oh, you don't allow shoplifting here?
No, of course not. So, but you would think.
Hace referencia a lo que está pasando en algunos
Why
estados
would
de Estados
anybody
Unidos que
think allowing shoplifting
delitos menores a
would
cierta
be
cantidad de
illegal?
dólares
I don't know.
no son
Why?
penables,
That's the
punibles,
stupidest thing to
entonces
think, right?
no
Or
pueden
giving away drugs. I
realizar.
said this in an
Yes.
interview. Or giving away drugs. Let's give away drugs, right? It's like very stupid things, and you would guess that some of the people doing enacting these policies are not necessarily evil. They're just they've been fed this ideology. They think they're doing the right thing. It's like, I'll give you an example. I think a month ago or something like that. Yeah, like a month. The Spanish police arrested a gang member that had fled El Salvador. So the gang member escaped. He flew. He went to Spain, and with an international operation between the police of our police and the Spanish police and Interpol, they were able to arrest the guy. So in those cases, you need to do an extradition because it's an automatic, international operation. So they just get the guy, process him and send him to the original police for they file the claim. So the Spanish police was very proud of the arrest. So they put it up in Twitter. So they said, we just arrested this gang member. So I quoted the tweet, and I said, great, send him, we'll take care of him, right? So that was used in his court hearing in Spain as a proof that he wouldn't get a fair trial here. So he was protected by Spanish laws, and he stayed there in Spain.
Maybe they don't have enough gang members in Spain.
Exactly. So, I don't care if they want to keep him. It's a mouth that we don't have to feed. It's a mouth that we don't have to feed, right?
Yes.
But so they can keep him. But the thing is that you would think, why would this Spanish government want an extra gang member?
Yeah. Yes.
And it's not necessarily out of evil. It's just that the laws, the system, the things that are being fed to the judge, to the prosecutor. So they think that that my tweet was too mean, and this gang member, his rights will be not respected, or he wouldn't get a fair trial in El Salvador, so he had to stay in Spain to be protected. They know he's a killer. They actually arrested him because of that. It was an international operation. And everything, they know he probably murdered dozens of people, but they feel the need to protect them.
So what's sad?
Probablemente porque después el día de mañana lo puedan llegar a usar para para sus beneficios.
But that's a sign that your
beneficios
defense mechanism no
del
longer
gobierno
works.
Yes.
izquierdista.
And that your society is dying.
Yes.
And Spain is in my opinion, a
Western
wonderful
civilization is reaching a point into it will start failing.
Ok,
I
empieza a
think
caer
that's obvious
la
to those of
civilización
us with great
occidental
sadness,
según
to those of us who live here.
Bukele. Llega un
Unless
punto.
things are done, of course. You can always.
A menos que se haga algo. Por lo
So,
menos hoy
okay,
votar
two-part question.
en
Why do you
Europa para
think
que
that's
gane
happening?
la cordura y
Because
la
it is
centro-derecha y la
recognizably
derecha.
happening in real time before us. And what can be done at this point to reverse it?
Votar mejor.
Well, you
se
know,
puede hacer.
everything erodes and degrades. I mean, that's just laws of nature.
Yes.
I mean, we do. That's why we die. We age and we die.
Yes.
I mean, you can slow it, right? You can, stay fit, diet.
Yeah.
I mean, you eventually gonna age and die.
Yes.
You cannot avoid that. Same happens with anything. Infrastructure. You know, I had an argument with at the beginning of the government. I had an argument with my Ministry of Public Works, my Minister of Public Works, because there was this neighborhood that was built in an area that you shouldn't build things there. It was a mountain, almost the soil was basically flour. So it was, the mountain was falling and the houses were falling with the mountain. So to save the people, the Ministry of Public Works started building a huge wall, to stop the houses from falling, right? So they were building this huge wall, and of course I can't micromanage everything. So when I saw the wall being built, I called my minister. I said, "What are you doing? I mean, you won't stop the mountain." And I said, let's build houses for the people somewhere else. It would be cheaper, and he said, no, the wall will be fine. We have engineers from international corporation and everything. It will be fine. So they finished the wall. They inaugurated thing. It didn't fall. Don't worry. Don't wait for that. Don't wait for that plot twist. But I was still angry because I thought that it was a huge waste of money and a lot of risk. That if in the future the wall falls,
yes,
it'll be on us because we built it, right? Of
course.
So I started pressuring him. Why did you build that wall? Why do you build that wall? If the wall falls in the future, it would be our fault. And I thought he grew tired of me pressuring. He said, well, everything that is made by humans needs maintenance. I mean, of course, if we just leave the wall there, it will fall in 10, 20, 30 years. But if we give maintenance to the wall won't fall, right? So that stuck on me, not because of the wall itself, but
claro, todo
because
necesita
everything is
mantenimiento.
like that.
Yes.
In a relationship,
yes, that's
a
right.
plant, at home. I mean, everything. I mean, your haircut. You need, if you want to maintain it, you need to spend time and resources and effort in maintaining it. So Western civilization, because civilization goes like this.
Yes.
So Western civilization reached the peak. I cannot point exactly where the peak is. It's like timing the market, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna buy in the bottom and I'm gonna sell at the top. Nobody can do that, right? And so I don't know exactly where was the peak, but we can all agree that we're in the decline.
Yes.
So that is happening because we're not giving the correct maintenance to the civilization. Why